When boxing legend Muhammad Ali was asked what the central part of his training was in the late 1970s, he said,
"Central part is dodging the nightclubs and the parties and the girls, and being in the bed by yourself at 9 o'clock at night. You talk all that running and hitting the bags and jogging and vitamins you want. Dodging ladies is the main thing."
Watching dozens of interviews with professional athletes, you notice that dodging ladies is a recurring theme.
You were all over the press for winning, but also you made a statement. And your statement was that you abstained from sex before the fight. How long did you abstain from sex?
About 3 months.
Damn! Do you abstain from sex before you working out? Or does it make no difference?
To be honest with you, it makes a lot of difference.
Really?
Yeah, I keep as far away from it as I possibly can.
The longer you abstain, you build strength, you build testosterone, energy, stamina, reaction time. Everything is just week by week, it just builds and builds and builds.
This practice of sexual discipline is commonly referred to as semen retention. It takes various forms and extends far beyond the sporting world.
When I was making Pet Sounds, I was going through a form of celibacy, which I'm going through now.
How did your wife feel about the celibacy?
It works out fine. We have an understanding and agreement.
There's this whole wave of motherfuckers talking about not busting nuts. Kevin Gates talk about it, Joey Badass talk about it, I heard you talk about it.
Semen retention, it's good for you. One nut can make a whole child. You think you can't go the extra mile to do your work or do extra stuff within that?
I've been practicing semen retention for the last, I don't know how many years. I don't release no semen.
Well, you don't?
I aim to please my partner. After the woman come 1,000,000 times, I'm done.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. This is my life force.
You can have many times sex, but you don't have the ejaculation every time.
Most men don't know how to have an orgasm without ejaculation.
Because they never learn how to hold them.
Okay.
Businessmen and entrepreneurs have been learning to hold them ever since Napoleon Hill insisted that the mastery of sexual energy was essential to wealth accumulation in his 1937 classic, Think and Grow Rich.
The emotion of sex is the most powerful of all emotions. Failure to exercise self-discipline over this emotion probably heads the list of all the causes of personal failure.
Most people have dismissed these ideas.
I've traveled in some pretty successful circles in my time. You know, I've got friends that have run 8- and 9-figure businesses. They've had several exits, have been very successful with those as well. Not one of them has ever attributed their success to retaining semen.
But some, like Steve Jobs, have been significantly influenced by Hill's teachings. As crazy as it sounds to many people, the idea that men can control and redirect their sexual energies for financial, physical, and spiritual growth has survived for thousands of years. And in the internet age, semen retention is perhaps more widespread than ever. Today I learned, when men don't masturbate for 7 days, their testosterone levels increase by 45.7%. So went the title of a post submitted to Reddit's Today I Learned message board in June 2011. Sourced from a Chinese study published in 2003, the post went viral and led to a new subreddit, r/nofap, followed by a standalone website of the same name. The NoFap forum soon became a place where members encouraged and championed one another for their efforts to overcome their chronic addiction to X-rated content and self-stimulation.
When we have an orgasm, it releases a huge amount of neurotransmitters in our brain. So orgasms can very much work like a drug. When sex is just an end in itself and it's not an expression of intimacy and love, but it's really a way to get an orgasm, then it really becomes all about the dopamine.
It's a very potent stimulus, and very potent stimuli of any kind, extremely palatable food, extreme pornography, extreme experiences like bungee cord jumping, those set a threshold for dopamine release. And the higher the dopamine peak, the bigger the drop afterwards. And it's not that you drop to baseline, you drop below baseline.
In other words, to compensate for the increase in dopamine in our brain's reward pathway, we essentially go into this chronic dopamine deficit state. And once we're in that state, we are struggling with the addicted brain. Now, if we wait long enough, baseline dopamine levels are restored.
NoFap rightly promised that 30 to 90 days of abstinence would restore baseline dopamine levels. Those who tried it noticed beneficial changes and often spoke about them to inspire the rest of the community.
The first benefit that I've noticed after 60 days of NoFap is an increase in focus.
It's just this unwavering sense of
purpose, of direction.
You feel fully loaded. You're fully charged. You're operating at 100%. You're an unstoppable force.
The confidence on NoFap is unlike anything that you might experience.
My confidence is through the frickin' roof. I can feel it, like I'm there, I'm present, and I have that, and I'm just so present.
I feel like I've hit that day on my retention to where it's like people just really feeling my energy, bro.
They're in a conversation and they feel like they can connect with the other person because they're actually there. The amount of dopamine they're getting from that interaction is enough for them to actually be there and be connected with them. They can go outside, they can see the birds flying around, and it will have an impact on them versus before they might have seen the birds and it's like it is what it is, right?
What's fascinating is that plenty of men on NoFap believe their transformation has less to do with normalized dopamine levels than the power of semen itself. They embrace the ancient idea that semen is a vital and almost magical force that can enhance a person's life in remarkable ways when it's preserved and reabsorbed in the body.
When we lose our semen, we're losing the fundamental essence of our energy. So that's going to bring everything else down.
This is vital life force. You keep it inside of you, and it gives you energy. It turns all the brain cells on in your head. Your spiritual senses, your spider senses start to come online. You start levitating, you become stronger. You start to look younger, you start glowing. You got a certain light to you because you're keeping the light inside of you. You're not shooting the light out.
Semen retention will give you enormous superpowers. It will turn you into a god, man.
You know those like X-Men that like see through people like an X-ray? That's what it does to you.
You feel like $1 million. On NoFap, you feel like the sun.
I'm telling you, you get to that certain amount of days, you're gonna feel different. You're gonna wake up different. People gonna treat you different. Everything gonna go your way.
One of the critical sources of inspiration for most of these ideas is the book Practice of Brahmacharya by the Hindu spiritual teacher Swami Sivananda. In it, Sivananda claims that one who has perfect control over sexual energy attains powers unobtainable by any other means. Semen is the real vitality in man, and so whenever the seminal secretions are conserved and thereby reabsorbed into the system, it goes towards enriching the blood and strengthening the brain. Semen retention gurus claim that this physiological process and the following improvements depend on transmutation or sublimation.
The proper means of self-discipline of the emotion of sex is transmutation. The control and direction of this great emotional feeling toward the attainment of worthy purposes, such as the fulfillment of one's major purpose in life.
The Mystery of Sex Transmutation, a chapter in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, says that if the emotion of sex is not transmuted into some creative effort, it will find a less worthy outlet. The emotion of sex contains the secret of creative ability. When driven by this emotion, men become gifted with a superpower for action. Transmutation will lift one to the status of a genius.
If you want to rise to the level of genius, then semen retention is your path.
If you practice NoFap for extended periods of time, if you retain your semen, if you retain your vital energy, you will have access to knowledge and insights that no other man can have. You'll become a genius. You could become a millionaire within 5 to 7 years. If you're young, you could do it even sooner.
Committed semen retainers defend the link between semen retention and genius by citing reported celibates of the past, like Nikola Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci, Ludwig van Beethoven, Immanuel Kant, Mahatma Gandhi, Henry David Thoreau, and Friedrich Nietzsche. But it's evident from the way most advocates of semen retention speak online that they're far less interested in expressing dormant genius than in maximizing their attractiveness to women.
You come up to a girl, and your balls are full. You have the seed within. You are 100% showing up to the doorstep as a man. She can feel that energy miles away, bro. Before you even get there, like, goddamn, there's a disturbance in the force. Is there like a tsunami coming? No, it's just you, right?
When you practice semen retention, you're much more likely to feel very centered within yourself, to have this strong, grounded presence that fills the room. And women can feel this.
She's sensing there's something about you, something inside of you that stimulates her inner reproductive fantasies. It entices her emotions, it gets her excited.
You're gonna realize there's gonna be a lot more girls attracting you. It's almost like a magnet, you know, you become a magnet pretty much to them, right?
This type of language attracts men hoping for an upswing in sexual success. But of course, a warning is attached to the message.
Sex while on semen retention. You gotta hold that nut, boys. Don't give her what she wants. Let her come. Why are you trying to come? You know how you gonna feel after, bro.
When you ejaculate, your whole life force is being taken away from you. Like it says in Proverbs 31:3, do not give restraints to women, those who destroy kings. Because that's what they do. They take your life force energy and strip you of it. They rob you of it, and you're stuck on a lower vibration.
Convinced of the evils of semen loss, men practicing semen retention are prone to despair when they eventually relapse by way of a woman, or, more commonly, their own hand.
Your boy relapsed, and that shit was a mess, bruh.
Yeah, I'm gonna try not to do it again.
After you break a nofap streak, because you succumb to the urges, you feel like a piece of shit.
I've come across more young men who have been pained by nofap than who have just like got problems with like porn and masturbation. Yeah, because they get like this existential crisis where now they feel like more of a loser because they keep failing nofap.
For some of these men, the answer to the pain of relapsing is tantric practice.
It's entirely possible for men to ejaculate without orgasming and orgasm without ejaculating.
If you can learn to hold a higher level of arousal without becoming so tense that you hit your breaking point, then you can experience orgasms without ejaculating. And the benefit to this is that you never experience that refractory phase after an ejaculatory orgasm, where prolactin is released into the bloodstream, you feel fatigued, you feel tired, right? You don't have to experience that, at least not frequently, if you choose not to by having non-ejaculatory orgasms.
The final note on sex without ejaculation brings us full circle back to the science of testosterone.
The question that I often get, in fact, is one of the questions I get most often in the comments on YouTube, I don't know why that is whether or not ejaculation adjusts testosterone levels. And it turns out that sex and ejaculation itself does not reduce testosterone levels. However, abstinence or sex without ejaculation for a week or more will increase testosterone levels up to 400%.
If this sounds too good to be true, that's because it is. Huberman's wild claim convinced thousands, if not millions, that avoiding ejaculation for over a week was scientifically proven to drive testosterone levels through the roof and into outer space. No one can source a study demonstrating a 400% increase because there isn't one. Huberman made a mistake. The research shows that testosterone levels increase by 45% after 7 days without ejaculation, before returning close to baseline on the 8th day. You can get a more significant spike than this in just a couple of hours by lifting heavy weights or winning a competitive game of some kind. The bottom line is that semen retention helps addicts to normalize dopamine levels and aspiring fathers to increase semen volume and sperm count. But beyond that, it appears to be a mystical practice dependent on one's faith. I do not doubt this faith has helped men become sporting champions, lead national campaigns for independence, and God knows what else. That's the beauty of the placebo effect, but the placebo effect has limits. So those who believe that semen retention delivers incredible superpowers may have set themselves up for a fall.